Please start.
Yeah, sure. A pleasant evening, morning, and afternoon to all those people, those who are here. I'm Dr. Ravi Kumar from Bangalore, a core member with the International Internship University. I'm a master trainer, coach, mentor, facilitator, and also a counselor. I'm also a spiritual trainer as well as a spiritual preacher as well. Just by looking at the present gesture, don't be afraid of or don't be taken off that I look like a bandit somewhere because of some spiritual reasons. I've grown my beard and all those things. Otherwise, cool looking guy. I'm first before I start my introduction. I would love to introduce our backbone of International Internship University, Dr. Snigdha Kadam. For some technical glitches, she is not able to be on the video. So she is excused for that. And I request all the participants and all others to be on the video throughout the session, please. I also welcome and I extend my heartiest thanks and also my gratitude to the founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit sir, who is a one-man army, one who has built this internship university and taken it so far. And he has spread its wings across the globe in all the 6 continents and 195 countries. This International Internship University has registered with 6 countries like India, Australia, US, UK, Canada, Romania, and so on and so forth. So, last but not the least, I welcome all the participants and my fellow trainers, Dr. Vinu Thomas ma'am, and also Dr. Srividya Sukumar ma'am. Those who will be taking you through this 4th batch of global career counseling batch tomorrow and day after. With that, I'm Dr. Ravi Kumar, basically based out of Bangalore, and I'm an army veteran. I did serve in the Indian Army from 1977 to 2007 for 30 years, and I have taken part in 8 major insurgency operations during the tenure of 30 years in the Indian Army. Post my retirement, I'm completely into training and development for the last 17 years. And in this tenure, I have trained more than 1 lakh people, for both students as well as the employees. During these 17 years of my successful career as a trainer, which has brought me lots and lots of accolades and awards and rewards, I had been rewarded with the best faculty development programmer and also the faculty development trainer for the year 2019 by Telangana and Andhra Pradesh state governments, and in 2021 by the Karnataka State Skill Development Corporation. I've been rewarded with many other rewards from IIU as well. I've been rewarded with the Global Mentor for the year 2022, Global Educator for the year 2022, and also the doctorate and the honorary PhD on training and development as well as career counseling. I have counseled more than 75 students so far after getting certified internationally as a career counselor, which includes many states in India. But they are from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Orissa, so on and so forth. And I have received more than 73% of success in the career counseling. And many of my students, they have settled abroad and they have settled even in India in many IT as well as in the banking and other sector jobs. So with this small introduction, I would like to start the day today. Before I start the day, I request, it's my humble submission with all the participants, those who are here, to please switch on your cameras so that when we see each other, we will have a feeling of direct interaction, that we are sitting in a live session and we are able to understand each other's conversation. And secondly, it is not a one-way session. It's a two-way session. So please do interact. Whenever you have any queries or questions, please do raise your hands and you can ask for the questions, or you can jot down your questions and you can ask me in the end of the session. Or you can text me in the text box. Those questions, if they are to be attended immediately, I will attend to them immediately. If not, those questions will be answered at the end of the session. Thank you so much, everyone. It is my privilege to welcome our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Charles Ebronia, Professor Dr. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, my able, powerful moderator. You have been so good to us, and I will not miss you. Every time we must invite you because you are so special. God will come to elevate you and empower you with his wisdom and every knowledge needed for you to impart into people. God will come to give it to you. Thank you very much.
Thank
God
you
bless
so much, sir. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. Thank you. So with that, I'm just give me a second. I'll share my screen without wasting further time. We will start the day. I hope all of you can see the screen clearly.
Yes, sir, proceed.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. So career counseling. I welcome once again all the participants and my fellow trainers and also our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Charles sir, and also the backbone of India chapter, Dr. Snigdha Gadam, for the day one of the batch 4 of Global Career Counseling session. Today, on day 1, I'll be taking you through the following topics where I'll be able to make you to understand what is career counseling and what is career development and also what is career. Then, what are the guidances that need to be taken? That is, what is career counseling and what is career guidance as well. Then the importance of the career counseling and the need of career counseling at this hour of time. I'll take you through the principles of career counseling and also in the end, it would be a Q&A for 10 or 15 minutes where I would love to hear from all the participants your key takeaways for the day so that it would help me to improve my career as well as my profession for the next batches so that they will be benefited, and also those key takeaways would also help you also to develop your career counseling abilities. So let us understand what is career. Career is, as most of us just think that career means it is our professional life, how we lead our life. What is the type of job that we are doing and how we can develop and how we can grow in our job. That is true. That is a very normal definition that we really understand and we try to go through in that. In fact, when we see that, though the definition says it is a person's personal growth through life, because every day every one of us lead 4 types of lifestyles. We live 4 types of lifestyles. The first one is our personal life. Second one is our professional life. Third one is our social life. And the fourth, the spiritual life. So the career means developing all these 4 lifestyles in our lifetime. How we develop it, how we improve from day to day and proceed in that. That is what is career. Whereas one small note I would like to say here is that the personal life and the professional life, they should never meet each other. They are like the railway tracks. If they meet, collide, there is a collision. The social life that we lead every day is the bogie or the compartment of the train on that particular track. And the spiritual life is the engine which drives through all these 4 lifestyles. Here I would make a disclaimer here that spiritual life is not the one that we lead our religious life. Spiritual life here refers to how much spiritual we are to with the rest of the 3 lifestyles. What is our dedication? What is our devotion? What is our utmost care to our personal life, professional life, and also to the social life, where each day we make improvements and we keep growing ourselves in these 3 lifestyles, and we try to become the bright color amongst the crowd of many thousands and lakhs of people. So that is put into a simple path. It says that it's a person's personal growth through life, the profession, path, and plan that one adopts to grow in his or her life for the future. Then the career development. The career development means it is an ongoing process. It is an everyday process which never stops. Means every day, every individual tries to improve on his or her lifestyle, whether it's a personal life or a professional life or a social life, and try to gel with the community, try to gel with the co-citizens, and move ahead and march towards the upper limits of his lifestyle or her lifestyle. That is where every day, everyone tries to improve, upgrade, or upskill one's behavior or character, the quality in all these 3 lifestyles, and also it helps in growing and leading a successful life and also a lifestyle of others as well. First thing is that we do development means we do develop ourselves and help others, our peers, our friends, our family members, to adopt these good characters, good lifestyles, good behaviors, so that they can also come up in their life and lead a high standard of lifestyle. Sorry. So when we see this, what is happening in today's scenario is that certain things that are affecting the career development, especially in the students. Because when we see that what is happening in the students' lifestyle or in the students' career, there are many hiccups, there are many hurdles. These hurdles and hiccups are making the students to come out on their own, take up their own decisions, and discuss it freely and openly with the parents, with their tutors, with their guides, with their mentors, so on and so forth. And they have to keep their things within themselves and gets back into the shell like a turtle. If the career counselors, the career counselors, the humans, can make these things understand to the parents of the students, the tutors of the students, the guides of the students, these are the most affecting areas where your child is not able to expose himself or herself, is not able to speak openly or freely with these people, then it would really help in guiding the participants to lead a very good lifestyle in their career. What are these affecting trends? If we see, the first one is the lost focus. They lose focus. Why? Why do they lose the focus? Because it is mainly due to their surroundings, their parents, their tutors, their friends around them. For example, if there is a group of students, 3 or 4 students, those who are very affiliated to one another, those who are thick friends, and each one's parents wants their respective children to become or develop in their different way of their professional life. So one would feel one is the best, the other would feel that his is the best, the third would feel the third is the best. So when they sit and discuss, they will not be able to make each other understand because they are still growing or the budding children. So that is where they lose the focus. Suppose a child wants to pursue medicine and rest of the 2 or 3 children say that no, medicine, it doesn't have much demand today. Let us become engineers. Engineering has more effects. Or they say, let us get into generic graduation because we can do CA, we can do that thing, we can do this thing. We can get into civil services. So these sort of external disturbances, these sort of external pressure makes the children to lose the focus. We have to, as a counselor, we have to focus on this. The next thing is the diversified or the minimal influence by parents, teachers, friends, peers, which leads to number of increasing dropouts. Here, I would again reiterating the same thing that I told you in the last focus point. Diversified are the minimal influence because, say, I wanted to become a doctor. I couldn't become. I became an engineer or I became a teacher or I became an accountant or I became a bank employee or something like that. And I wasn't able to pursue my area of interest in the medicine. I put my dream on my offspring. I want to see that either my daughter or son wants to become a doctor. We force them to become that. Whereas the child would be focused or interested in something else. We put pressure on the child. No, you have to go for this. That is what the diversified or the influenced by the parents. Teachers, most of the teachers, hey, my dear, you are good in mathematics. You have to get into the IIE course. You have to get into the IETE course. You are so good in mathematics and physics. You can become the top engineer. You can become a very good this thing. The child is not interested. By his intuition, he might be he or she might be good in mathematics and good in physics. The other child might be good in chemistry and biology. The teacher says, hey, my dear, you are so good in chemistry. Huh? You are so good in biology. Why don't you become doctor? You have to get into the IIM. You have to do a IIMA course. The child might be interested in engineering. These sort of diversification should not be done. We should, as a counselor, as a career counselor, what we have to do is, we have to counsel the child first. We have to understand what is the mindset of the child, what the child wants to really pursue in his future. Then we have to counsel the parents of the child. Once we counsel the parent of the child, then we will come to know the ideas and the thoughts that are there in the minds of the parents. Compare both the things. See, can this be matched? Most of the time it won't match, because of the sheer fear of the parents. Child may not open up. So we have to counsel the child individually, means very personally, and alone the child should be there when we counsel the child. The child, for the first time, the child should not be with anyone else, not even with his or her friends or peers or fellow mates. The child should be totally alone when we counsel the child. Then only the parents, then only the teachers. Then only we will come to understand what is their perception about that particular child. And when we understand each of their perception, what is the parent's perception, what is the teacher's perception, and what exactly is the child's perception, what exactly is the idea of the child, compare all the three, make a table, whichever the thing that matches amongst the three, make a list of it. Give the guidance to the child with these three matching, where the education can be taken through them. Then sit through with the parents and the child, make both of them to understand in an assertive manner that this is what your child wants to become and this is what you desire, or this is what is your perception about your child. Whereas when we see these two things, there is a bit of diversion, or there is a bit of confusion amongst both of you. With that, to benefit both of you, this is the best way of going. Then sit with the tutor and the child and the parents in the next sitting. Make them understand. Individually tell them this is what is all your ideals, or this is what all your perceptions. Then give them the common points which gel with each other, which match with each other, and make them to understand. If you, as a tutor, if you can guide the child in this line, child will really get through in this. And also the parent. But always make 2 or 3 choices. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. As trainers or as the counselors or as the coaches, all of us do know, or rather as an educator, all of us know that we should not have only one plan. We should always have 2 or 3 ideas or 2 or 3 ways that the child can opt for: priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. So that if A is not available, B is available. If B is not available, C is available finally. Then the third is, what would happen once the child gets into the higher education? Parents, rather than looking at the quality of the institution and the qualities of the faculties of the institution, they look at the facilities, the infrastructures that are available in that particular institution. I am paying these many lakhs of rupees as a fee to the college. Does my child gets a good canteen food? Is the canteen hygiene? Are they serving all sort of foods in the canteen? If I put my child into the hostel, is there an AC in the hostel? Can I ask my son to take up a AC room? Is it only 2 sharing or multiple sharing, like 3 or 4 students staying in one room? All these sort of things. Is the school bus or college bus available from my residence to the college point, or my child has to walk or go in some other pickup vans to the pickup point of the college vehicle? There are so many infrastructure, so many facilities each and every parent looks at, rather than the main objective of making their child to get through and focus on the profession that the child wants to dwell in. If anyone is having any questions or want to get more clarifications, please do feel free to raise your hand and stop me there and ask for the questions so that I would be able to answer you all. Then the next hurdle in this is the competition. As all of us know that today it is a very tough competition. The competition is so tough. Rather than giving the 360-degree education, the competition is 360-degree nowadays. When the child wants to get into a school, higher education, college, or an institution, educational institution, or into a job, they look at not only the personal and the physical abilities of the child and also the academic abilities of the child. They also want to look at other abilities of the child so that is the student able to score more than 90% in all the fields. So that competition, that is very important. A child might be very good in the academics, might be scoring 100 out of 100 or band 10 out of band 10 in all the academic subjects, but poor in other skill sets, is not able to communicate openly, is not extrovert, is totally an introvert. How would that child develop his or her career? Making the child to understand, making the child to open up, making the child to speak. This is what is the responsibility of us as the career counselors. The most damaging factor is this one. Last but not the least, I would love to say this. That is the aim. The aimless process. Here, the word aim, I have just converted this into an acronym. What does this aim says? Let us see now. Aim is the attitude. The attitude of the children, the attitude of the parents, the attitude of the educators, the attitude of the mentor, the attitude of the guide of the child plays a very, very, very important and a very vital role here to develop one's career. Attitude doesn't mean that it is totally negative or it is totally passive or totally reluctant or totally bad, because attitude should always be like the communication. It should also be assertive. Only then we will be able to make the child to focus on his or her career. Secondly, the involvement. The involvement of the parents, the involvement of the tutors, and also the involvement of the child. Okay, yeah, parents thinks, okay, yeah, anyway, he wanted to pursue engineering as per his wish or her wish. I put him into an engineering college and my child, it is now his responsibility because he has chosen that or she has chosen that. Now it is your headache because you are interested, you do it on your own. No, the involvement of the parents should always be there. Yes, my dear, what is the difficulty in this? What makes you to score such a less marks? What is happening here and why are you not able to understand certain things? The involvement of the parents with the child as a friend. The important thing is that their attitude should be like a friend. The friendly attitude with the children. The attitude of the faculties of the colleges, the attitude of the educators or the guides or the tutors of the schools or the intermediate education institutions plays another important role. They have to involve themselves and make the child to understand whatever both the pros and cons of what is the child's perception and where it would take them. Then the involvement of the child himself or herself. Once they choose their career, once they are given the liberty to choose their career in the path that they want to go, they have to get involved themselves in that. We have to make the child to get involved in that. We have to tell the child getting involved in the sense it is not that you just drown in that. You should be just submerged in that. You should be floating as well as drowning. You should see both ups and downs. So you have to get into the mind state of thinking out of the box. Make the child to involve. This is what is lacking today. If as a career counselors, as a counselors, if you can make the children to get into this, it would be very helpful for the child. And finally, the mindfulness. The mindfulness of the child is very, very, very vital here. Because whatever the path or whatever the career the child chooses, or the participant chooses, or your counselee chooses, they have to be totally focused on that and they have to have their mindfulness in that. That's where I said, when I told the 3 lifestyles, the 4th one is the spiritual lifestyle, the devotion, the dedication, the involvement, the focus, the attention you pay towards it. That is very important. Then, what is career counseling and what is guidance? The career counseling or the career guidance, it is a sort of a counseling program designed to help students. Means we are making this child to choose the right career path. Where when they choose the right professional career path, here I would stress on this point. When we make the child to understand to choose the child's professional career path in conjunction with their personal career path, so that the career that they are choosing in their professional path improves their personal life also, which can be chosen based on their education, based on their expertise in the subject which they are good at. And choose their professional choices. It is totally a qualitative as well as a quantitative assessment of the knowledge. Here, knowledge carries all the rest of the packages, that is the skills, the information about the career that one wants to choose, and the child's experience in identifying the available career options. What is the experience? Where all the child has explored those knowledge. And after exploring those knowledge, what all the skill sets that child has recognized or identified himself or herself to improve, to get into that career path. This career counseling and the guidance is an area where the counselor always focuses on the future success and the happiness of the participants. So once the counselor focuses on the career of the participants' success and the future, there will be a happiness not only for the counselee, but also for his or her family, and also for the institution, there is a school or college where the child is pursuing the education, and also to the community that yes, my community child has scored this much thing here, and yes, he or she has developed or improved, and she is leading or he is leading a path in this. And once the child gets, once the career counselor, once the counselor helps the child to get into all these verticals, then it gives a community hang balance as well. So that there will be no of course, as a counselors, we may have to face a lot of biasings, a lot of discriminations. No, this is not the way, that thing, that is not the way, this thing, so many things. But as a counselor, we should not take it personally. We have to be polite, we have to be patient. We have to make each and everyone involved in the child's future, make them to understand what exactly the future would be and how would it affect the child's career. Hope I'm not going fast. Any queries so far by any of you? Fine. If anybody wants to speak, please do unmute and speak. Great. So now let us see the differences. What are the differences? So the difference between the counseling and the guidance, the term guidance, it has been defined in various ways by different scholars, because every one of us have our own perceptions for anything that we understand. So we define that according to our perception. In the same way, the term guidance has different perceptions. In fact, if you want to take the literal meaning of it, it means to direct or to guide or to point out or to show the path. So, in all, in a layman's language, if we have to define that, guidance simply means showing or pointing the right path to the student, or guiding the student to go in the right path in the career, so that the child doesn't gets too many hurdles on the path or faces too many difficulties or the hindrances in the path the child is going. It is also the assistance or the help rendered by the experienced person. Here, I would love to stress on one point. In the career counseling, more than the academic knowledge, the experiential knowledge that we have gained through our experience. Because we see through our naked eyes what is happening around, and we know the current status, what is today and what was yesterday. Keeping all these things in mind, that is called as the experiential learning. We, as a career counselors, we have to utilize that to the maximum the experiential learnings, and we impart this experiential learning or the knowledge, or with this we help the less experienced or our counselee to solve certain major problems. It can be educational, or it can be vocational, or it can be some personal issues, and so on and so forth. It is a service that we will be doing by helping any individual or the group of individuals in making necessary adjustments to the environment, whether that be with the school or outside of it. That is why I told you in the very beginning itself what is career. Career here I refer to is that it is both personal, professional, and social life one leads. So as a career guide or the career guidance, we have to see to it that the counseling is properly guided in all these three terms. That is the environment around the child, whether that can be within the educational institution or outside the educational institution. Outside the educational institution can be in the social life, can also be in the personal life, how the child is behaving, or what is the impact of the parents on the child at the residence, at the house, so on and so forth. How is the child behaving, and what is the effect of the outside people with the child, the neighbors, the fellow students, what is the effects that is happening that is outside the educational institution. Guidance, again, I tell you, it is also a process where we assist the individual to choose, prepare, and also to enter and progress in the course of action pertaining to the educational, vocational, recreational, and community services. As a counselor, we need to adopt this pedagogy of making the improvements or upskilling or upgrading the child or our counseling in all these 3 or 4 areas. It can be educational, it can be vocational, that means job oriented, recreational, curricular, extracurricular, co-curricular activities, sports and other sort of things, and also the community services. Then, what is the meaning of counseling? We know that terms of guidance and the counseling are used interchangeably normally. Most of us say guiding and counseling are both the same. But there is a difference. Counseling means once we interact with the individual, as I told you in the beginning itself, when we interact with in a family with the parents or the students and also the tutors or the educators, we get into different things. We get what is their perception, what they want to become, what is their idea. And then that is, after understanding that, we would give them certain options, we would give them certain suggestions, we would give them certain ideas that would make them to go through. That is what is counseling. After giving this counseling, what we do is we guide them. When they adopt one particular path in the way that we have, after counseling we have given, we guide them, we show them the path, we handhold our counselee to progress in that path. That is what is guidance, career guidance. So counseling can be done by anyone. It is not that it should be a particular person only can counsel. Counseling can be done by anyone. Who all can do the counseling? A parent always counsels the child. A doctor counsels the patients. Lawyers to their clients. Teachers to their students. Trainers to their participants. Coaches to their coaches. Anyone can be a counselor. Only the thing is that adopting the right methodologies, adopting the right techniques to guide one to get success in the path they have chosen is actually the counseling. That is where one needs to get certified, one needs to get knowledged, one needs to undergo certain courses, one needs to get qualified for that. Otherwise, just if you take the simple term as a counseling, fine. Anyone can counsel. A parent always counsels the child. So, as a career counselor, we have to have this 360-degree knowledge, and we have to update ourselves on everyday basis so that whatever the changes that come across, whatever the changes that happen, that are implemented, that are taught, that are transferred to the knowledge box of the counseling. To do the better counseling, developing a high level of mutual relationship is very important. Because the term says it is a mutual relationship between a counselor who is a professionally trained and who can help the consumer of the counseling services. So in what area we are counseling? Today we are talking about only about the career counseling. So we talk about the career, that is the education path or the professional path a child wants to move ahead. If you are a parent counseling, if you are doing a parent counseling, then what will happen? The meaning of the counseling would be different. There one should have the knowledge to understand the parents' chaos, parents' struggles with the child. If you are a couple counselor where you are counseling a couple, there we have to have a different set of knowledge. If you are counseling a students, there we have to have a different set of knowledge. If you are counseling an employee of an organization, then we should have the knowledge about of the organization as well as about the individual of that particular organization. So this plays a different role in the different ways of counseling we do. Hope I am making it clear. Then what is that meaning of counseling? There are different sets of meanings that we can come across. Counseling is a professional relationship between a counselor who is professionally trained and a client, that is the counselee, who is seeking help to resolve a problem. Anyone coming to you with a problem and you give a solution to that problem, then you are a counselor and that person is a counselee. In a simple term. Right? Why do they come to another person? Because they know that this person is professionally well versed with this particular sort of problem. So that's why it says professionally trained person with the client, that is the counseling, can be a student, can be a parent, can be a teacher, can be an employee, XYZ, whatever it is. So that is what? Resolving an issue of an individual. Counseling, it is a face-to-face, always. First 3 or 4 or 5 sittings should be face-to-face. It cannot be even on online. If you feel that, yes, we can do it online, it will not have that impact and it will not give that result. Please do take it from me. It is my personal experience. For the last so many years, I am counseling so many students and so many parents and so many other people. If you do an online counseling, in the beginning itself, it will not have the impact. First 5 to 6 sittings should be personally done. It should be face to face. Rest depends on the frequency of the counseling that you take to. Whether you are doing it weekly or fortnightly or monthly or bi-monthly, whatever it is that you are planning to do, or bi-weekly, frequency of it varies. Then after having that 5 or 6 personal sittings, that is face-to-face sittings, we can go for the online sittings. So it is a face-to-face relationship between a client and the counselor in the confidential setting. The counseling is always confidential. It cannot be done in the open market. Right? So that is where I said in the very beginning, we need to counsel the child individually and very personally. No one should be there so that the child feels totally free to expose himself or herself, feel comfortable. For that, the first sitting may take you or consume more time than the rest of the successive sittings. So everything should be confidential. So we as a counselors, we have to maintain this confidentiality to a high standard. Counseling is a dynamic and a purposeful relationship between two people who approach a mutually defined problem with mutual consideration of each other to the end that the younger or less mature or more troubled of the two is aided to a self-determined resolution to his problem. Though the sentence is too long, the meaning is too short. Means it is a dynamic relationship which has a purpose in it between two individuals. Reasons can be anything. The problem defines what exactly the thing is, where both the people mutually understands the problem. So here, it need not be that the counselee will be younger to the counselor. Might be younger. Or the counselee is the one who is more troubled, one who is into more problem, one who is having the more issues. So, and the one who is having the solution for these problems and the solution for these issues is the counselor. One who is helping that affected person to come out of that respective issue or the respective problem. Like counseling always constitutes 3 activities. First one is informing. The second one is the advising. Third is counseling. Informing here, the role of the counselor, what is that informing? The role of the counselor is to give appropriate and correct information to the counselee or the client. That is what I stressed in the very beginning itself. The informing or the information means giving the right information. To give that right information, the counselor should have that 360-degree knowledge about the issue that counselor is going to counsel. Only then, when that person has that 360-degree knowledge about the issue, if it is a career counseling, fine. We should have that 360-degree knowledge about the different types of courses available for different types of the education set a child has is coming out from. Which university gives which all the streams of education, which is the top university in this, which one is not having these facilities, which one is having all these facilities. All this information should be there with the counselor. With all these things, this right information should be conveyed to the client. Here the client refers to all the three. That's the parents, the tutor of the child, and also the child himself or herself. With the brief explanation, making them to understand this is what it is. And then the advising. So advising on the information that we have accumulated and giving the right advice to the people or the client, how you can take it forward. Finally, counseling. Counseling means this is what you want to pursue or this is what you want to adopt in your life. So for this, these are the paths that are going to be there for you. And according to you, this is what it is and these can be the hurdles. Say for example, a child is good in mathematics and chemistry. A child is good in mathematics and chemistry, not in biology and chemistry. Sorry, not in biology and physics. Now, the problem here is that the child cannot go for either engineering or medical. Because the child is good in 50% of one line. So here as a career counselor, what we have to do is, we have to compare with these two things, which is having the upper hand in this. Whether the child is good in mathematics and chemistry, on which subject the child is having the upper hand. And the weaker subjects also, in the weaker sections also, which subject the child is having the upper hand. The child is having upper hand with mathematics on the top priorities, but not in physics. In the other thing where he is weak, where the child is weak is in the biology and the physics, the child is having a better of these two, biology and physics is better in physics. It is always better to ask the child to go for engineering so that he can improve upon the education in physics. If the child is having an average scoring in chemistry and biology, though good in mathematics, then we have to give the second option for the child. So based on these three things, counseling happens. That is where I told you that we have to sort out these three sets of planning. That is plan A, plan B, plan C, and guide the children accordingly. Again, the meaning of counseling, it is a private relationship, the mutual relationship between the two individuals, mutual respect between the two. Counseling is a professional relationship. It cannot be a personal relationship. It is a professional relationship, that is, one of the two must be trained to assist the others, should be well versed, should have that experiential knowledge, should have that 360-degree knowledge. It doesn't mean that just by giving the advice we are counseling. Sorry. Next, we have to see that one of the key changes that can be implemented in our education system is is to mainstream career guidance programs which career advisors who are experts in guiding aspirants towards a job of their choice. This is one of the major changes that needs to be brought in the education system is that every education institution should have a counselor in the educational institution itself, in the every level of the education institution, starting from elementary to middle to secondary to higher secondary. Everywhere there should be a counselor who can help the child to choose the right path. What is happening is that we have all seen and we have all experienced is that a child can be very good in other curricular or co-curricular activities, and we also as a parents support the child very much, make the child to go in that path. Suppose a child is very much interested in singing and is having a good voice also, till 10th standard, till the matriculation, we support the child. As soon as the child enters into the matriculation or the 10th standard, the support starts to getting withdrawn. We say, now, my dear child, you are into the edge of your career now. Now it is the time that you elevate yourself in your career. So focus less on your interest of singing. You start focus on your academics completely. You have to become an engineer, or you have to become a doctor, or you have to become an architect, or you have to become a scientist, so on and so forth. That is where we start killing the interest of the child. That shouldn't be done. Of course, education is very important. I don't deny that education is not important. Education is very important because along with that, what is the area where the child can make its career? That we need to keep on supporting it. That we need to guide the child in the same way. This we have to make understand both the child and the parents and also the tutors of the child. So now this can be done if there is a career guide or a career advisor in the educational institutions from the very beginning level itself. So that it would help that career guide who is employed in the educational institution to interact with the child freely and understand what exactly the child is good at. Rather, we start doing that in the fag end of the academics of the child. Now, a child should focus on the future-ready 360-degree approach. As I'm telling this because this 360-degree approach is very important in today's trend. Equipped with advanced tools and technologies to involve all stakeholders in the counseling process, that is teachers, students, and parents. A career advisor or a counselor is an expert in exploring students' skills, should be able to understand how the student is performing, what are the skill sets of the students, should be able to explore that and interest the levels and suggesting a balanced solution combining the merits of both. What are the skill sets of the students? How good in that particular skill? And what is the interest of the child? That's what I said. Say, for example, a student is very good in mathematics and biology. Now, if the interest of the child is to get into medicine, the child is good in only one thing, that is in biology, not in chemistry now. Now, can we see, and we have to guide the child to improve and upskill the knowledge in chemistry so that that child can get into his area of interest and make his career very successful one. The career advisor also relies on the interest of the career by conducting or the aptitude test as part of the discovery process to identify factors influencing career interests, abilities, and values. In essence, a career advisor sets realistic career goals for each student. Students who take up professional help from a career advisor also benefits from locating resources and sources of career information, ways to write resumes, preparing for interviews, and the basics of the networking. So a career counselor not only guides the child about the area of interest of the child, but also helps the child to develop in 360 degrees in the skill sets as well. And also makes the child to write the resume. The resume building is also important. And also the skill of having that networking. What is the basics of networking? Why networking is important? How a networking helps the child to improve his or her future in the career. Today, the globally accepted counselor to student ratio is 1:250. The need of a counselor, why the counselor is needed in today's trend, the ratio globally it is 1:250. If you look at the global level, one counselor per 250 students or 250 counselees. While the same thing in India, if you take it, it is 1:3,000. 3,000 counselees have only one counselor who can guide or counsel the participant or the counselee, which is a huge difference and making the counselees a very huge shortfall of the counselors. But as a professional, as a career counselor myself, what I would advise is that becoming a counselor, getting certified is not sufficient. After getting certified as a counselor, we have to put in the effort to acquire that 360-degree knowledge that is required for us to become a counselor and guide the students so that we are in demand and this ratio or this gap can be reduced. Hence, it opens a very massive opportunity for career counselors, especially as 93% of schools in India don't have a dedicated professional counselor. Now come NEP 2020, that is New National Education Policy 2020. It has a streamline in that, saying that there will be counselors from elementary level itself in the education society. So, after getting certified, if we put in effort to acquire the knowledge, 360-degree knowledge that is required to carry a student, counsel a student in his or her career, and the job vacancy is so much available in all the educational institutions, starting from elementary to the higher secondary, and even to the professional level as well. The annual International Career and the College Counseling Conference, which was held in 2018 recently, just 5 years down the line, observed that India's 350 million students need at least 1.4 million career counselors to get on par with the globally acceptable student counselor ratio. If India wants to get at par with this 1:250, where now it is 1:3K, if we have to get into this, these many 1.4 million career counselors are required today. Most of the people, most of the trainers, good coaches, good mentors, they draw back themselves, they withdraw themselves to share their knowledge, they share their experiential knowledge with the students and guide them. It is not a rocket science to be doing a career counseling. Only the thing is that in the beginning, we have to put in a bit of more effort in acquiring that 360-degree knowledge. Before getting into every sitting, if we just get into some latest improvements, latest knowledge, and go for the sitting, it is never a difficult job. Now let us talk about the principles of the guidance. The career guidance is based upon the certain following principles. The first one is the holistic development of an individual. What is this holistic development of an individual? A guide needs to be provided in the context of total development of personality, which I am telling from the beginning is that a counselor or a career guide should look at the improvement of the personality of the counselee in all the 4 types of life sets. Guidance deals with the development of the whole person. It does not only focus on the learner's academic achievement, but should also focus on different aspects such as social and physical aspects also. That's what I said, personal, professional, and social lifestyles. Academics, only focusing on the academics, it becomes totally professional. We have to look at the health, the physique of the child, the mind state of the child, the mindfulness of the child, which is the personal lifestyle, and also the social lifestyle, how the child behaves in the social. Then, recognition of individual differences and dignity. Always, you have to maintain this. Every individual is different from every other individual. Suppose if I am counseling an engineering student today for his or her career, and tomorrow if I get another engineering student as my counselee, both are totally different. That's where I said we have to counsel the child individually first, which is a personal and very face-to-face, so that we understand the mindset of the child, each child individually, and interact with them according to their mindsets, and bringing in the soft mindset in the child is the very core part of career counseling. Changing the mindset of the child from where it is rigid to a flexible one. The rigidness should not become a brittle one. It should become a flexible one. That is more important. So each individual is different from every other individual. Each individual is the combination of characteristics which provides uniqueness to each person. The dignity of the individual is supreme. The respect for others should come naturally and should not be affected by title, sex, age, or appearance. Means, whenever we guide, whenever we counsel our counselee or a student, the dignity factor should not be there. You say, I am much more experienced than you. That's why I am a counselor for you. Because we are here to uplift someone. If anything needs to be lifted up, we have to bend down to the place where the thing has fallen. Only then we will be able to pull it up. So, as a counselor, first we have to get ourselves down to the level of the counselee. We have to see ourselves through his eyes, the counselee's eyes, where I am standing. And from there is the job for us to lift the child. Whether here, ever have any discrimination of designation, sex, appearance, or the status of education. Many people will start saying, I have seen it also, very personally I am telling, which I am totally against to it. Your age is not equal to my experience. What does age makes here? If that were to be the thing, if my age were to be equal to your experience, then why should I have hired you at all to guide me? Don't be so rude with the while counseling. Be polite, have patience. Lot of patience is required to do the career counseling. Lots and lot of patience. At times we have to become so passive that the counselee himself or herself will understand when we are passive that he or she is making some mistake and they get corrected by themselves. That's why I always say be assertive. The third one is the guidance concerned with the individual behavioral process. So we should also make a note of the behavior of the child, the characters, how the child is, what are the characters of the child, what is the daily routine of the child, and what are all the, we have to do a SWOT analysis of the child in short. That is strength, weakness, opportunities and threats. We have to carry out a SWOT analysis of the child. By doing that, it helps the individual to gain the better control over his or her own behavior, likes, dislikes, tendencies, weaknesses. In this principle, the guidance worker uses tools such as personal interviews, counseling, relationship, and test interpretation sessions. Any of these can be introduced or all of these can be used. That is where I said at times we have to be very passive also, so that that passiveness gives some difference of opinion in the student's mindset and tries to understand his or her own mistakes and tries to correct it. Guidance relies on cooperation and not on compulsion. No, I am senior to you, I am much more experienced to you, I am telling you to go this way, please, you have to go in this way. No, no compulsion, no mandates. It should be on a totally mutual understanding, cooperation and coordination. In career counseling, it cannot be forced. That's why I said in the beginning itself, whenever we create the plan for the counseling, we give our conclusion, we give our counseling result, we have to have 3 results. Result 1, result A, result B, result C. That is what is plan A, plan B and plan C. So that the mutual understanding, when we make the counselee to understand, if not this, this, if not this, that. Then human beings are basically self-determined creatures. So every one of us have an innate desire for independence and autonomy. So we have that ability to control their own destiny and to be fully responsible for their actions. A client should move towards a greater level of self-acceptance and self-understanding, aim to excel more. This is what I told in the previous slide also. That means when we make the child or the participant to understand that he or she is making the mistake by themselves, that would help them to understand by themselves, change themselves by adopting the right way of it. The client should also develop the greater level of honesty in and respect to himself. That is, having to create the self-respect. Having to create the value of self-respect is very important. Making the child or making the counselee to understand that how the honesty can make the individual to increase the self-respect in one's individualism. So this client's real self should resemble the ideal self one would like to be. Self-concept, the way individuals perceive themselves, should be congruent with their experiences. It should not be for the sake of showing off. Then the objective should be based on the client's need and not the counselor's guidance. And not the counselors, because the objective should be based on the client's need. Always, what the client wants or what the participant or what the counselee is desired to do. In that particular thing, the counselor should guide. It's not that if I am the counselor, it is not that what I want the child to pursue, but it is the other way around. What the child wants to pursue, that should be guided. This is where I was always, even now also I'm saying, I'm stressing on this point to have more than one option. That is, better is the multiple option 1, 2, 3 or 4. That would help the counselors to guide the child in the right path successfully. So, to become a successful career counselor or a counselor rather, avoid these 3 C's. The first one, comparing. Please never ever compare one client or the one counselor with anyone else. Second, countering. Never ever counter your client. Never ever counter your counselee. Don't have this third one, very important one, that is the criticizing. Never ever criticize. Rather, bring in these 3 C's or focus on these 3 C's, which would help not only the counselee to get through in the successful path and also the counselor to be a very successful counselor. Instead of comparing, adopt the habit of correcting. Get into the option of correcting. Instead of countering, start counseling. Start making the counselee to understand what is the benefit of this, what are the merits and demerits of this, and instead of countering. No, you don't do it. You have to do this. No, don't do that. Instead of countering, counsel. Third, instead of criticizing, be creative. So, I end the day today, day 1 here. If any queries are there, please feel free to ask your questions. Please unmute yourself. And also, I would love to hear the feedback or the key takeaways of day 1. If anyone is really interested in telling about your key takeaways of the day. It is not that the key takeaways means this you are not knowing only then, no only you are knowing it. You might have been knowing about it. There could be an improvement in that. Your queries would help me to improve my knowledge and my way of presenting the things and improvising my content here for the next batch as well. So feel free, feel comfortable, and be at ease to ask any type of queries. And also, please give your feedback. How you felt? Anyone? I'll stop sharing the screen. If required, I'll share the screen again. So I request all the participants to please do come on the camera and have, if any queries are there, please do unmute yourself.
Dr. Ravi?
Yes,
Hey,
yes, Ariel, right?
Ariel. Yeah. Thank you for the sharing.
Pronunciation.
Yeah. I'm from Singapore. I'm
Yeah.
a teacher. Yeah. So actually I was looking at your slide just now, and you mentioned that to get the students, to know more about the students, you actually do a 360-degree kind of question, right? And when you actually use the SWOT analysis to actually guide in terms of the questioning that we want to ask. So is there a framework that because it's like if you have a new students who come to you, you may not know the student before, right? So but after you have shared, right, it seems that for whether it's guidance or counseling, there must be that rapport. So which means that when the student actually come to you, but then if we just use a SWOT analysis straight away, it's very impersonal. Then why should the student want to share with you? So do you have any tips or any what do you call that, strategies to actually build rapport very quickly with, or do we actually study the persona of the student first before we actually start? Or should we just let it be free flowing so that it's not like presumptuous or prejudgment we have about the student?
Yes, very true. Nice question. But there is always a table for this. There is always a testing tool for this as well, right? But these things we would be taking you through tomorrow and after tomorrow. If I start saying that today, tomorrow you may not be having that much of interest or that much of focus on those things, so that you will not be able to understand it, because when the focus is less, you will not be able to understand it. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, your doubts question will be cleared very clearly. Second thing is that understanding the persona of a student is, that's why I said to understand the persona of a student or an individual is you have to have a 1 or 2 or 3 sittings with the child, so that you develop the quality of asking the same question in 2 or 3 different patterns. I'm very happy to tell you this because you said that you are a teacher, because teacher is having all that sense of art to twist a question in different manners. One question can be asked in different patterns, right? So that to understand the child's persona and understand the child's mindset, same question can be rotated in different ways. Make the child, what is the answer the child is giving? If the child is giving the same answer, even the question is twisted and the child is getting it confused, that means there is an external pressure from someone for the child. Yes, sir, you just go into that and you do this. If the answer is same for all the different sort of questions that is being asked about one particular thing, then the child is very much interested and focused on that. Then as a teacher or as an educator, it is our responsibility to focus on the child's way of interest. And we have to study if this is the child's interest, what are the pros and cons in this particular path. So then we have to guide the child. See, my dear child, you see, we appreciate and we really honor your interest. The thing is that the pros of the way that you are chosen are having, these are the thing, and these are the cons. These are the thorns that are there in this path. Will you be able to sustain these thorns? Can you walk on these thorns? Make the child to understand. Only then asking a different set of questions, different pattern of questions would always help you to understand the persona of a child. Hope I answer your query. You want more clarification?
Oh, okay. I know. I think I'll look at the next two lecture when we are covering the various.
Can you please come again, because your voice is
Thank
breaking. I'm not
you.
able to. Can you please come again, ma'am? She's dropped.
No, I
Yeah, please.
think
Yeah. I saw you. I saw
I
you.
know the internet is very unstable.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah. I think because when you define counseling and also guidance in a very clear way, right, then it really look again at the kind of relationship that we are taking when we want to take either a career guardian as a career counselor. I think this whole idea about what is the role and the responsibility for each one has to be very, very clear. So that the client actually know what to expect. So I
Yeah.
think if we are doing a session like this, we should actually be very clear about what the session is all about, so that the expectations is clearer. I have that problem because sometimes I'm a friend, right? And then I'm also a coach. So when I go into my coach mode, but then my friend is not ready to be coach. She just say, I just want to be listened to. I just need a friend. I don't need you to come and coach me. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So I think it's important that when we are addressing whether the student or the client, we need to be very clear what is the role we are playing at that point in time. So I want to thank you for actually differentiating between guidance as well as counseling. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
No, I think Ravi sir, it was very much enriching session. And as you very rightly said, let us keep the doubt session at the end of 4th day. Because many doubts will be cleared in the next 3 days as well. And superb. Great. Very informative and amazing session with the great presentation. So, on behalf of International Confederation of Worldwide Principals and International Internship University, I congratulate you. Thank you for conducting a wonderful session.
It's my pleasure always.
Yeah, so hope to have the all your doubts we will clear even on the last day. Last day again, 4 of our trainers will be there, and we can have a more interactive session on that day as well. So is that fine for all? So shall we wind up for the day? Yes, sir. With your kind permission.
Charles, sir.
Yeah. Okay then. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay tuned. See you all tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you
Ravi
so
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Good night.